Today's video is brought to you by Card Kingdom. And right now you can get this sweet Scoop Soldier sticker when you order over on cardkingdom.com. Just mention in your order notes that you want a Scoop Soldier sticker when you check out.
Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have a super special video today, which I'm really hyped about. We have the official preview of the full deck list of one of the Commander 2020 decks. Our deck is Ruthless Regiment. It's coming out the end of April. You'll be able to get it at your local game store or through internet vendors. And to break down this awesome deck, I am joined by Tomer, of course. Tomer, how you doing today? Are you ready to talk about some new Commander cards?
I am super excited. This is the first time we've ever gotten a full deck list to talk about, so this is a momentous occasion. I'm really excited and honored to be here for that. So thank you very much, Wizards of the Coast, for this preview.
Yeah, so you've probably seen some of the cards from this deck because they've been rolling out over the last couple of days, different people spoiling different cards. But so what we're showing off is there are a couple, I think, new cards, especially the reprints. But the big deal is the full deck list. You finally get to see the full deck list. So Tomer, I mentioned the name is Ruthless Regiment, but what is Ruthless Regiment actually about?
Ruthless Regiment is a Mardu deck that has some overlapping themes, but the main theme that is an overarching theme is this is a human tribal deck. You'll be noticing that a lot of our cards have humans or produce human tokens. And there are three main sub-themes in this deck. It is about attacking, about sacrifice, and about death triggers. So we actually have three different commanders that you can choose from right out of the box. We have the face of the precon is Jirina Kudro, and this is going to be our attacking commander. This is a commander that says when Jirina enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. So you cast Jirina the first time, you get one human soldier token. You cast her the second time, you're going to make two. And she comes with a very powerful anthem. Other humans you control get +2/+0. So right off the bat, you can see this is all about, having a bunch of humans on the battlefield to get the maximum benefit of Jirina's anthem ability. And, attacking is best used on the offense. So this is all about attacking and promoting attacking with a lot of human creatures.
I really like the fact that you kind of alluded to, that it's kind of an army in a can. When the game goes long, eventually you're going to be like 2 or 3 tokens, and you're pumping them +2 and +0. So eventually, when you're casting this for like 10 mana for the third time or whatever, you're actually adding a huge amount of power to the battlefield because of those tokens and that +2/+0. So that's one thing I really like about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the fact that she scales into the game is really, really powerful. And just the more times you cast her, the more tokens you get, and the stronger the anthem already becomes. So yeah, it's very sweet. The second commanders are actually a partner commanders. This is Trin and Sylvar. And these partner commanders are all about sacrificing specifically human creatures. So Trin, when Trin is on the battlefield, at the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So again, you're promoted by attacking, and the reward is getting additional human tokens. But the other side of the partnership is Sylvar, Devourer of the Free. This is a creature with menace, and it says sacrifice a human. You put a +1/+1 counter on Sylvar, Devourer of the Free, and it gains indestructible until end of turn. So the purpose here is to feed a bunch of humans to Sylvar. Sylvar gets really, really big. Menace means it's very difficult to block him, so he can get in there for commander damage. And if there's ever any targeted removal that would destroy Sylvar, you can always just nom nom on another human and make him indestructible. So it's hard to get rid of. And while it's hard to get rid of, it gets bigger and bigger and will start just taking out opponents.
And I think it's important to mention here as well that the deck has cards like Zulaport Cutthroat, so there is kind of a light aristocrat feel to it where you're benefiting from those self-sacrifice synergies. So while the commanders do interact really well with each other and support each other, there's also some other good support cards where maybe you make a whole bunch of humans tokens, you get these cards out, you sacrifice them all and just drain your opponent out of the game or something by surprise with Zulaport Cutthroat.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you're just going to be sacrificing things to Sylvar just so you trigger other beneficial abilities on the battlefield, not necessarily to protect Sylvar or make him bigger. Like you said, Zulapar Cutthroat, you have like 20 or so human tokens on the battlefield and your opponents are below 20 life. Boom, you just eat all the human tokens and you win the game. Our final commander is Kelsien the Plague. This is a human assassin with vigilance and haste, and it gets +1/+1 for each experience counter you have. And, of course, it has a way to add experience counters onto itself. It has a tap ability. It's a pinger. Kelsien taps to deal 1 damage to target creature you don't control. When that creature dies this turn, you get an experience counter. So you kill things with Kelsien by pinging them, and Kelsien gets bigger. Then you can start attacking for more and more damage. And also the fact that it has vigilance and haste means it can attack the turn it comes out, and after attacking, you can still tap Kelsien to ping something and kill it. The ping ability isn't really strong on itself. There's not a lot of creatures in Commander in general that are going to have 1 toughness that Kelsien can just take out. But, I mean, there are going to be some nice targets now and then. Like, let's say if there is an opponent that has a Birds of Paradise or something similar, you just ping it, you take it out. It's good value. The nice thing with Kelsien, though, is what you can do with other card pairings. So, if you give Kelsien Death Touch, for example, suddenly the 1 damage Kelsien deals to any creature is going to be enough to kill them, thanks to the Death Touch ability. Another thing that you can do with Kelsien is you can kind of pair it with removal spells. So let's say there's a creature you want to kill on the battlefield, and you have a Doomblade in your hand, destroy target creature. You can ping with Kelsien on that target. It's not going to die, but then immediately afterwards, you can kill it with Doomblade or a Wrath of God or whatever, and you'll still get that experience counter off Kelsien. So that's what it seems like Kelsien's kind of going for, is you want to be just killing creatures in general, have a lot of ways to kill creatures in general, add ways to give Kelsien Death Touch, and Kelsien is just going to be doing a lot of damage because he has Vigilance and Haste, so he's always going to be doing combat damage, but he's also just going to be passively getting bigger and bigger.
I feel like for me, Kelsien is the commander that I think I'm least excited to just stick at the front of the precon and stick it in the command zone. But out of the commanders in the deck, I think it's one of the sweetest ones to build around, as you mentioned. Like, there's a lot of cool shenanigans you can do with giving it Death Touch and kind of building your deck around the effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kelsien kind of doesn't have as many inherent synergies as the other 2 commanders we just listed. He's the only one that doesn't care about humans at all, really. And that could be interesting for people who are looking for a commander that doesn't really care about human tribal, doesn't really care about necessarily attacking so much, even though Kelsien is a good attacker himself. But this is more of like a generic commander for people who are looking for something that's outside of the pushed archetypes that the Ruthless Regiment is trying to promote in general. So you can kind of take Kelsien as his own thing, as a generic commander, or like you said, Seth, you can just start building around him as like a Death Touchy, Death Matters commander, and he gets really big at that point.
The other thing I wanted to mention quickly about all the commanders in this set, really, is we know that humans is also a theme of Ikoria. So if you end up getting the Ruthless Regiment commander deck, there's probably going to be some like sweet upgrade type stuff from the set proper. If you go and like do a pre-release event or a draft or something, there's a chance you're going to open up some humans that maybe would be good additions to the deck.
I mean, absolutely. This is coming out with Ikoria. Human Tribal is a thing, so plan for a lot of upgrades in the set, in this precon, if you so choose to upgrade your precon. Like I said before, this deck is great right out of the box. It's great for beginners, but you can always upgrade it, and with Ikoria coming alongside Ruthless Regiment, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the near future to upgrade your deck.
So, Tomer, I gotta ask you, we talked about the commanders, we talked about the overall theme of the deck. There's a lot of new cards in this deck. I think it's something like 18, if I counted correctly, which maybe I didn't because I don't count that well. But there's been a lot of cards previewed by other people from this deck. Which of the new cards is your favorite out of all the new cards coming in the Ruthless Regiment deck?
So, my favorite card from the entire set of the new cards is definitely Flawless Maneuver. This is a 3-mana instant speed spell that says creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So this is a perfect way to protect your board state from removal spells, especially board wipes, because let's say you have this impressive board state full of creatures, and your opponent just casts Wrath of God or Damnation or something like that, and takes it all out. You could be severely behind in this deck. However, Flawless Maneuver can turn what could be a catastrophe for you into a huge swing, because a Wrath of God, if you make your creatures indestructible, everybody else's creatures dies, and then suddenly you're the only person on the battlefield with an army. You're uncontested, and that can lead to a very quick win. The really interesting thing, however, with Flawless Maneuver is that if you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. You can cast this for free. And free spells, Seth, are usually really, really strong. There's a history in Magic of free spells being very, very strong. This ability is very, very strong, so I expect to be playing this a bunch of times.
It definitely scares me. As someone who likes to dirtle around and cast a lot of wraths, normally when you see your opponent tapped out, you assume, okay, I can cast my wrath, it's gonna work, I'm gonna get rid of my opponent's things. This card means that plan doesn't necessarily work. Like, you can be tapped out and still have a way to protect your team from my Supreme Verdict or Damnation or Wrath of God, which really scary coming out of an aggro deck like this, especially a deck that cares about having a big board full of creatures and attacking.
Yeah, this is just huge in a creature-heavy deck. A Wrath of God, a board wipe could be absolutely devastating. Even just removing your commander or just a key creature at an inopportune time could really set you back. And Flawless Maneuver just gives you that safety net. Like, yeah, you could pay 3 mana and make your stuff indestructible, which is a pretty decent rate. But then the fact that you can cast it for free, that's going to set it apart from the other protection spells for sure.
I think, for me, I also have a favorite new card from the set, but mine is Verge Rangers. Verge Rangers is just a 3-mana 3/3, so reasonable stats, but not a huge creature. The big deal is, it allows you to look at the top card of your library whenever you want to, and as long as your opponent controls more lands and opponent controls more lands than you do, you can play lands from the top of your library. And that means you still have the restriction. You can't just play like 10 lands or whatever. You can only play 1 land a turn still, unless you have other shenanigans going on. But this is, I think, a card that is a really big deal for white. We see cards like Oracle of Moldiah be very playable, Courser of Kruphix. Ways to play lands off the top of your deck is kind of a green thing, but we've had a lot of complaints recently about white kind of lacking card advantage. It also lacks ramp sometimes. This feels like a card that generates card advantage and potentially ramps in white, and it still feels very white. Like, the restriction of needing an opponent to have more lands is kind of like land tax and other white land ramp effects. So I think this card is actually a really powerful card, and a card that I will probably play in a lot of mono white decks, because it kind of does everything that white needs as far as generating card advantage and getting a little bit of extra ramp and lands on the battlefield.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This feels like Courser of Kruphix in white, but it feels like a white card, and it's a great design space that I'm happy that they're exploring a bit more. Like Lane Tax and Knight of the White Orchid, the fact that if your opponent has something more than you, then white is allowed to have this really powerful ability to help them catch up in that department. And in this department, this is card advantage, and to some extent, like kind of like ramp. If your opponents have more lands than you, if they ramp more than you, then you can generate more card advantage by playing some cards off the top of your library if they are lands. Feels like it's a very green effect, but done very well in white. And I'm happy to see this card. I'm definitely excited to play it, and it's exciting to see what more cards Wizards of the Coast is going to provide for white that kind of fleshes out the traditional weaknesses of white.
Yeah, I think it's exciting with new design space being explored for white in the future, which maybe will solve some of the problems that people have mentioned about white as a color in Commanders. So, well, anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our official preview video for our Commander 2020 deck, Ruthless Regiment. So, again, thank you so much to Wizards for hooking us up with this deck preview. If you're interested in human tribal, you like attacking and sacrificing things and death Seth's themes, definitely make sure to check out Ruthless Regiment. It's going to be coming out on April 24th. You can get it at your local game store, big box stores, online, all those places. It is widely produced. And if you want to hear more about this deck and all the Commander 2020 decks, going to have a ton of content coming out in the near future. Tomer will be doing some upgrades. We'll be talking about the various decks. So definitely keep an eye out for that, both on the YouTube channel and on the MTGGoldfish.com site. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. Wizards, thank you again for hooking us up with a deck. Tomer, thanks for hanging out and doing this. It's always fun.
Thanks for having me, Seth. This is great.
And on that note, I think that brings us to the end of our Commander 2020 review. So hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up with the latest and greatest, click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to check out similar videos, click on the links here and here.